The duck is back, the duck is back, and that's a fact. The duck is back. Long time no see. I've been trying to make this video for a few days. The last attempt was yesterday, and the sun was fighting me. We're in winter. The monsters here, I can hear it, and the sun is very low, and it shines into the workshop and fights me. So, but it's just the sun. And anyway, but to get through today, I would first like to show you a few things that I've made lately. This one in particular. This is an old screwdriver, right? And you can see. Oh, let's see if I get it. All right. And this is, I cannot tell you how handy this thing is, right? When you're trying to get exhausts off a Harley and you're trying to get those bolt plates off over the studs, you just slip this baby in there on each side and it just comes straight off, man. Like, I use this all the time, and all it is an old Stanley screwdriver. I think it's one of my dad's, and I just heated it up and put a bend in the end. So good. I highly recommend it. Making one for yourself, if you're mechanically minded, you know. The second thing I'd like to show you is this, right? And it just looks like a broom. That's because it is. But Mr. China, he sell a broom with a plastic fitting, and then 6 months later, after your broom, your plastic fitting breaks. Ha! And you have to buy new broom. But I'm telling you, Mr. China, meet Mr. Duck, and he'll fix your broom proper and never break again. Ha! Oh God. Yeah. So that's my lady wanted to go and buy a new one. So I put that in the pipe in the lathe, machined it so the pipe would go pop the handle will go in, and then anyway, you can see some self-tapping, and like people say, oh yeah, but it's cheaper to buy a new one. But I tell you what, you start adding up $15 brooms at least every year, it starts adding up after a while, and then you just think like me, wow, I'm going to fix it. And the good thing about it now is when this head is gone, I'll just unscrew it, screw another one on. Anyway, making stuff all the time. I got my book. What did we have on here? The magnet. Now that was another thing that I made yesterday. So I had to take this oil pump off the iron horse. I'll get into that in a minute. But I wanted something to pull out inside it. Hang on a minute. Where is it? As organised as always. So inside inside the oil pump, there is this ball that you got to get in, get out, and it's just a procedure what they say in the manual. And here's the thing: there's these little tracks that they put in the manual, and they show you, oh, he's just pulled it out with a pair of pointed pliers, and I'm telling you, there's no way you can pull that out with pointed pliers, right? No, you know, it's one of those places. And I'm thinking, oh, what I need is a little magnet, you know? And then I remembered I had this, right? And this is like you put this end in your drill, and then in this end it has different fittings you can change. But most importantly, inside here is a magnet, you see. So, see if I can show you. There's just a magnet in there, right? So I just chopped it off because I've had a few of these and I don't really use them that much. And made sure it was clean, chopped it off, and then of course just put it in there, and voila, it just came out like that. So easy. And yeah, anyway, another one I've made lately. So into the special Harley Davidson special tool cabinet, and the other one what I've made, and I haven't got that yet, but I made one of these, right? And you're like, what the hell is that, Duck? It's probably easier if I show you. I can rotate this thing without it turning off. So I'm not sure how this is going to go because I'll put that door, the sun's shining straight in here. It's winter here, so the sun's really low. Hopefully you can see. What did I do with it? So this is a 20-litre bucket. Just make sure you're in the shot. Make sure you, yeah. This is you can see it's a bucket, with a 20-litre bucket. I just chopped the bottom off it, chopped it in half, so we end up with this like a scoop thing. And of course what I made it for is it just swoops in there, see, like that, and then you can wash your brakes down and everything with your brake cleaner, give it a good clean, and then instead of it falling onto the bike bench or onto the back wheel and everywhere, it goes straight into your catching tray, see? And because that actually hooks in behind the disc like so, if you've got the wheel off the ground, you can actually turn the wheel as well, and this doesn't come out. I really recommend it. I've made one for the Giant, so he will enjoy his one soon. And that's I call him the Giant, but that's Aaron at AP Motorcycles in Pyro. And for those of you that aren't following me on Facebook, if you could put in Ducks Mechanical on Facebook, it'll bring up his phone numbers, I think, a couple of videos back. So yeah, anyway, on to the next thing, which is this. Oh, first off, I really want to show you guys the finished product of the breather that I made. Yeah, Okay, that's it. Actually, that pipe's in the way. Okay, and I think that looks quite stylish. It works really good, and you can see where it goes into the crank breather. Just go around the other side. You can see it from the other side. So I'm showing you guys, and I'm showing the owner, you know, because it's just what's got to happen. Right, as you can see, the iron horse. I'll just move that back a bit. Oh shit, that thing's heavy. As you can see, the iron horse chopper is back in bits. About a month back, I had a suspicion that this oil pump was faulty on this bike, and it just dawned on me, like I say, over a month ago, when, cause what was happening for all of you that have missed previous videos, is that while the engine was sitting, inside the engine was filling up with oil, right? And it was gravitating from here into the engine. And I found a few problems that I'll quickly go through. This is, so I put the fitting into the crank. And then I went to a Potiki and worked for a week. And when I came back, the oil was coming out of the top of the fitting. So basically in 7 days it had leaked. It had gravitated so much oil into that engine, it was now coming out that breather. And that sent alarm bells with me, really. I had a suspicion that the oil pump was playing up, but I wanted to sort of investigate all the other avenues, because oil pumps are very expensive, especially for S&S stuff. So what I found out was that these two oil lines was around back to front, because when I done the oil lines, all I did was remove them and put them back on. Now, I'll be the first one to put my hand up and say every once in a while I get things wrong, and I may have put those round the wrong way, but I usually replace oil lines in such a manner that one comes off and one goes back on. It's not like, yeah, anyway, so both of these lines come up quite up high, and this one is a little bit shorter than that one. And what I was thinking of was, with the breather line on the outlet line, when I banked into the corner, the oil might have been going down the pipe, back down the breather and into the engine, right? So I swapped them around, blew out the line, and then the line, instead of going across like this one used to go down here under the transmission and back up, so it was clear of oil. I started the bike a couple of times and ran it, and then at the end of that period I took that breather line off and I put it down in the drip tray, and oil came out of it again. So I knew at that point it wasn't anything to do with the breather lines, okay? And this is sort of the long processes what you got to do, especially if you're spending, you know, oil pumps. They're not cheap, man.
yeah, they're worth a lot of money, and I'm always thinking about dotting my I's, crossing my T's before spending $800 of somebody else's money, okay? So I did that, and then I still had the oil line going over here, even though it says in my Harley books on the oil arrangements lines, you can run the oil, breathe the line around and down and back up like that. I've got diagrams showing that. So I was a little bit confused as to how that oil was getting in there, and it still seemed to point back towards this flooding of the engine. When I fired it up the next time, a little bit of oil came out of here when I started it up initially, and then the second time not so much. But like I said to the owner, unless you're going to start it up every 2 weeks, we've got to find out why it's doing that. So my thing is that there was too much oil in here, and then it started pumping. Somehow it was getting oil. I'm not quite sure. I'd have to pull the engine apart. But if you can imagine, this oil fitting is in here, and it comes out of the engine. Hopefully you can see that, and it goes directly into this line, you see, and it's like so, right? And it's an air breather, it's not really oil, I mean. So, and the way I was thinking is that if the guys were working on this, I said to the owner, if the guys were working on this engine, couldn't fix the clutch properly, which is quite a basic, for me anyway, clutches are quite a basic thing to fix. And I think for you guys and girls that have been following for a while, you know that they put washers behind the clutch and put the clutch nut on back to front. I said to the owner, if they can't do the clutch properly, why do we think that they've done the pump properly? And a lot of these problems now are floating around this oil pump. So last night I pulled it apart and had a look at it, and pretty much all what I had thought about was confirmed. The first thing I noticed on the suction pump, which is the feed pump, hopefully you can see this. You see, this is where the light starts fighting me. Okay, can you see? Hang on a minute. Let's just take that off. Right. And the first thing I noticed on the feed pump is the marks. And you can see, it's very hard to get this, you can see here where bits of steel have gone around on the inside of the gears. So for you people what are not familiar, this is the outside of the plate, you see, and these little gears what run on here, 2 of them, you can see, and you can see quite clearly here that some bits of steel have got between the side of the wall and the side of the sprocket, right? And to such an extent you can actually see it. I don't know if you can see that, but there's actually There's marks on there, right? That was the first warning. Okay. And there just can't be any damage to these. So I was talking. I'll tell you, a while back I was talking to an engine rebuilder, and I says to him, I was inquiring, another guy bought his S&S engine here, and even though the bottom end was in good nick, he had had such a bad Chernobyl, which is, you know what a Chernobyl is, it's like a nuclear bomb going off. But inside here, he had ridden it until the hydraulic lifter had collapsed. I think I might have done a video, I can't remember. And then those bits of steel went into a lot of places. What I said to him, what we need to do, mate, is just box it up, send it away, you'll pull it apart, clean it out, and have a look at it, and send it back. Bottom ends, because I'm not really set up yet to do bottom ends. I'm trying to work towards it. And anyway, when I was talking to the guy on the phone who I was going to send it to, I says to him, oh, and if it's had that much crap, you probably need to have a look at what's gone wrong in the oil pump. And he said this to me, which I want you all to pay attention, right? Is he said this, Duck, if you've had such a bad thing happen in that engine, you just need to put a new oil pump on it. You can spend hours and hours mucking around with that oil pump, and it will never ever be right. Okay, so if you have anything go wrong in here, at a bare minimum you've got to pull the pump apart and check it. And if there's any sign of damage, it's just a new oil pump, right? Now that doesn't, what I'm showing you there doesn't look too bad. But then on the next one, which is, when I say the next one, so this is the oil pump. It bolts onto the side of the engine here. That first cover comes off, and it's called the feed pump, or the suction pump, is on this side, and on the back side is what they call a scavenger pump, right? And these scavenger pumps is what pumps the oil out of the crank and maintains it at a level. So when it starts, if there's too much oil in there, this pump here, keeping in mind of taking the other one out, right? Oh, actually it's still on the bike. Right, when you take it at this, it sucks. I'll get the pointer. So it sucks the oil up through here, and then it pumps the oil around. You see, now that turns. Just bear with me. Right. And this is how it works, right? So they turn, the oil comes in here, and as this turns this way, you see? And the oil gets trapped in here, right? And then as it goes round, each one of these fingers is pushes the oil around and around and around, and then out here, see? But you see how that oil's getting trapped in there? That's because the oil can't go back through the centre. And that's why there can't be any damage to these fingers or teeth whatsoever, and there can't be any damage to the housing, okay? Because the moment that there's any damage in the housing, that means that the oil has the ability to run back. And what was happening is that the oil, the scavenger pump, it wasn't working right, and I'll show you why. Right, and I'm not sure whether that's gonna look, honestly, I'd be a lot more fussy with this, but I've got a new one coming now, so this one's just shot, right? And keeping in mind, I haven't pulled the other side out yet. That's meant to just slide out there. I'll slide that one out as well. Okay, that one's got a little bit of damage, but not half as bad as the other side. And I'll try and do this so you guys can see, and so the owner can see. Just a minute. Right, I don't know whether you can see that, but I'll point it out. I'll try and hold it there. Right, and in here, which is, it's so hard to see on this thing, but in here, there is, you can see the groove where that's pointing, see? And the groove goes around and around and around and around, and it goes right round. And then over here it's got two of them. Oh gee, sorry. I don't know if I can see it. There, see? I don't know if you can see that. Another one there, another big groove there. Right, let's just give that up. It's very hard on some of this stuff. I don't know if that's right. So basically, instead of that, all of that oil getting trapped in there and sucking it out, pumping the crank out, X amount of it is running back down into the crank, right? Because it's not sealing properly, okay? So what you have is the feed side. The feed side on one side, it's got a little bit of damage, okay, but it's still working. You can actually, you got, make sure I'm in the shot. You got this one, and it's working at, with that bit of damage, I would say it's working about 98%. I'm going to say it's pretty good. Bit of damage there, so, it's probably lost 5% pumping or something, right? Now, but the one on the other side, because of these big grooves in the side of here, in the side in here, that means that means that it's dropped it off big time, right? It's not that it's got low oil pressure, because the low oil pressure, the pressure is on the feed side, right? But what it means is you've got a pump now what's working unevenly, right? The feed pump pumping it in is working at 95, and the suction pump or the scavenge pump, what pumps the oil out of the bottom of the engine, is only working about 80%, you see? So every thump of the engine, every turn, the engine is slowly filling up with oil, you see? And it's got to throw it out somewhere, because the scavenge pump ain't pumping it back to the tank. I had my gut feeling about, like I said, about a month ago about this, and this guy, this customer, has spent thousands, as you know from the work that I've done on it, thousands and thousands on this engine. And he is so grateful that I've found these problems, because it's just waiting to go bang again, the way it was set up. I took it for a test ride, and it was throwing so much oil out of the top of it. I was just like, what the hell, you know? The other point that I want to mention here, take a breath, Duck. I do get into it, I know. The other point that I want to mention here is that if you've got excessive oil in the crank, in here, right? That's more splash. It's more splash onto the bottom of the pistons, and it's more oil going up under the pistons, right? To the piston rings, onto the barrels. And they were never designed for that much oil, you see? So once again, these breathers and the oil, it becomes a compounding problem, you see? More oil onto the piston, more oil onto the rings, more oil onto the rings, then the pistons stick. And as you can hear, somebody's turned up. Hey, hang on a minute. Anyway, I think I've covered that. We might do a follow-up, but at the bottom line is this: you cannot rebuild these pumps. If they've got any damage, you've got to pretty much take them off, throw them over your shoulder. And like this guy, if you go take it to a bike shop and they say that they're going to put a new pump on it, right? You say, okay, where's the old one? And you make them give you the old oil pump so they cannot put it back on that bike, right? Especially bikes like this, where it's so obvious. Like, there's not many bikes in New Zealand with oil pumps like this, right? And you say, can I have the oil pump? And you put it in the bag and you take it home, and they cannot fit that pump back on that bike. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying this, and we'll catch you next time. All right, have a good one.